Hi, everybody. Hope you're all having a wonderful rest of your Monday afternoon. My name is Kasia Dupuy, and I am here with you for this week's Not a Library Live Create with Kasia Rainbow Paintbrush tutorial. So what we're going to do is I'm going to walk you through step by step of how to make this lovely rainbow paintbrush. And yeah, using a few steps and a few different colors. We'll just wait a couple more minutes for a few more people to join us. But thank you if you're tuning in. Also, let me know if you can hear me. We're trying a new sound thing, so we're just going to see if it's going to work. Yeah, so hopefully, yeah, you're having a wonderful Monday. It's so beautiful outside today, and I think it's extra beautiful because of the cloud cover. So it's not that sun beating down at you. It is kind of, a little bit shady in the sun, if that makes sense. And we're just checking with someone. They said it's a little bit loud. So keep it a little bit further from my mouth. Hopefully that's a bit better. Maybe I don't have to talk so loud because I'm used to a different sound system. And I'm used to having to project my voice a lot further. So maybe I don't have to be so close and so loud. Okay, so welcome again to this week's Not a Library Live Create with Kasia. So we're going to make this rainbow paintbrush. Can you believe that it is, I think, week 12 of our Create with Kasias? That's crazy. We've done at least 12 different projects. Also, if you are afraid you missed something or you want to look back at the ones that we've done in the past, we have all of our Create with Kasias up on our YouTube channel. So even though you weren't able to catch the live stream, we put them all up there and you can access them whenever you want for whoever you want. They make really cool presents if you want to make something for somebody, or you just want to take a minute for yourself and do some creating. Yeah, it's a great way to do it as well. So I'm going to flip over to our screen here and I switched it up this time. I'm going to be on the left-hand side instead of the right-hand side. But yeah, so welcome again. We are about to get started on our rainbow paintbrush, and I'm just seeing that I'm a little bit off here. There we go. But yes, so I'll run through the materials again before we get started, and then we will get ready to paint. So what you'll need to have with you today, if you're going to be painting along with me, is a protected surface to paint on. So I have a piece of watercolor paper right here. And I also have some black paper here. And I only have that black paper here today just for a little bit more contrast so you can see the different sheets that I'm using. I have a fairly new piece of paper underneath, and it was hard to see the white paper on top of the white paper. So anyway, you're also going to need water to wash your brush with. You're going to need paper towel to dry your brush with after you wash it. One thing I forgot to mention in a reminder is you're going to need a pencil and an eraser. If you're like me and you sometimes make lots of mistakes while you're working. Although mistakes aren't a bad thing, it just helps you learn. And if you're learning all the time, then that's a really important thing too. You're also going to want to make sure you have your paint brushes. So I have my trusty 3. If you've seen any of our other Create with Kasias, I have these 3 here that I use all the time. I have my flat square brush, I have my small square brush, and I have a round pointed brush for details. In this project, some of the details, if you don't have a fine enough brush that you're comfortable with getting really fine lines, you can use marker or a pen or something afterwards. So don't feel like you have to do really fine stuff if you don't have a fine point brush. And of course, you're going to need paints. So because it's a rainbow project, we have lots of colors going on. But if you're going to join me today or in the future, I suggest having black, white, brown for the bristles here. And you can definitely have these 3. These are the primary colors, right? Red, yellow, and blue. You can make any color of the rainbow from these 3. So we're also going to need green and purple and orange. But I can make orange by mixing those together. And I like this shade of purple. It shows up really good on camera. And I also have the shade of green that shows up really good on camera. So yes, I could mix them here, but I had them ready, so I just squeezed them out of the tube, and we're going to use those today. And also one more thing. If you're joining along to paint, make sure you're wearing painting clothes. So things that you don't mind getting your paint on. Even washable paint sometimes doesn't come out of stuff. It happens all the time. Although then you look like an artist, so it's kind of cool. So we have all that stuff and a pencil, because that's what I forgot last time. Yeah, you know what? Let's get started. I see we have a couple people joining us. Hi, everybody. If you want me to say hi to anybody or have any questions, I can check out comments now, and also there's also someone from the library who's monitoring comments. So if there's anything, she will, Christine actually, who's also going to be doing our microbits camp, which is very exciting. I'll talk about that in a little bit. She's actually monitoring comments, so she can relay anything to me if I miss it while I'm painting. Okay. Oh, also, before we go any further, I just wanted to talk really quickly, just like super quick, about our summer reading program. So that registration opened on Thursday. We are I'm very excited about it. This year's summer reading program is called Keeping Connected, because we can't actually get to the library with each other this year. We are going to try to stay as connected to you as possible. So that means we have kits every 2 weeks that you're available to book and come pick up, with books in there to keep for yourself. We have on and offline activities. We have videos posted almost every single day in the summer. We have a whole lot planned for you. Oh, and we still have Read for Beads. That's going to be incorporated into summer reading as well. So I just wanted to put that out there, that it's open. We have quite a few registered, and I'm very excited to share that with you. So let's get back to painting. Okay, so let's start with sketching, because this one needs a little bit of sketching, but not too much, and it's actually really simple shapes. So if you have a piece of paper like mine, and don't worry if you're working bigger or smaller, you can make this brush wider or narrower, it's up to you. But what we're going to do is we're going to start with this part of the brush here. So if the brush extended, like if this was a brush, this part would be going way up higher, but we're only seeing part of it. So that's actually called crop. So we've cropped this part off. We can only see what we want to. That makes it a little bit more important, because we want all the visual interest to be here, not so much of the paintbrush handle. We know what color it is. It's blue. So if you look at my paper, we're going to divide it into a few different sections. I want most of my paper, most of my final product, to be rainbow. So it takes about half of my paper. So find the halfway line and just do a really light pencil mark right there. Sometimes my pencil mark is darker just so that I can show it on camera. Let me just see if it, yep, you can see it, perfect. And then from here, we're going to make another line that's right about here. And it's about kind of halfway between this line, this line and the top of the paper. So it's just about here, just really lightly. Okay, so we have a big space up top and we have 2/4 here, approximately. Doesn't have to be perfect. So from here, what we're going to do is start on the side, and we're going to go up and up even straighter. So it's kind of like a curve and then straight up. And then you can do the same thing on the other side, but I like starting here so that I don't get too narrow or too wide. And I'm going to go down and then curve it like that. And then to match that line, you can join them together. And don't worry if it's not perfectly straight or anything. If you look at my paintbrushes, I don't know if you can see it up close, but sometimes when you wash them or move them around, they get kind of, bent out of shape, and they look well used, and we want a well used rainbow paintbrush. Okay, so we have this first part here. The second thing we're going to do is we're actually going to divide this in half. So take your pencil and divide that next part in half. In my lines, sometimes they're straight, sometimes they're not. It doesn't matter for art this way. Oops. And then what we're going to do is we're going to make the metal part of the brush. It's actually called the ferrule of the brush. So watch what I'm going to do here. Just watch this part first, and then you can follow along with me. So I'm going to go straight down, but I'm going to stop a little bit before the end. This side, I'm going to go past that line. So I'm going to go right like that, but just a little bit, like so. Okay, so I have a smaller line that ends about 1 fingernail from this line. This one goes about the same distance beyond that line. And then we're going to make a diagonal line right here. So we're going to start here. You can start here or here, whatever's more comfortable. And you're going to join those two together. And again, if it's not perfectly straight or if it's a little wonky, that's okay. You just have a well-loved, well-used paintbrush. Okay, so what I've decided is that when I made this one, it's very straight here. You can keep it that way. You can have your bristles ending on a straight line, just like that. But what I'm going to do is make it a little bit more interesting. And I'm going to have the bristles longer on this side. So my bristles would go like this. Because some paintbrushes, especially if you're painting a house, they kind of have the angle so that you can cut into corners. So watch this. If you don't understand what I'm talking about, I'll show you. So I'm going to start right here. And I'm going to make one side longer by about that. And then this one, I'm going to stop at this line. Actually, I'm going to make that a little longer. And then I'm going to join those two like that. And look, I didn't need all that there, so I can just erase it. Okay? Easy peasy. So this is the paintbrush handle. This is going to be the metal, the ferrule of the brush, and then these are the bristles. Okay? So if you want, take a minute right now, just really lightly erase your pencil marks in between for those lines, because we don't need them anymore. They helped us did our drawing, but we don't need them for anything else. Sometimes I like to erase my pencil marks and sometimes I don't. It just depends on what kind of paint I'm using, because some paint will cover this, and that's okay. But sometimes it doesn't, so you just need to kind of know your paint. Okay. So none of the color happens until the very end. We're going to basically start from the top and work our way kind of down. We're going to do here, then here, then here, and then there. Okay? So grab your paintbrush, whatever one you feel most comfortable with. I'm going to be using my thicker, wider brush here. And I'm going to make like a dark bluey gray for my handle, because I feel like that really works with the colors in the rainbow. That's kind of what, I like this tone right here, so I kind of went with that. So I'm going to take a little bit of my blue, if you want to do the same as me. Move it to a new spot. Take a little bit of black and mix it in. And remember, black is pretty strong, so we don't want too much, because then it will just look like a black brush. Now, to make it look a little lighter, I'm just going to take a little tiny bit of white from the outside and mix that in. Now, you can make a purple brush, you can make a black brush, you can make whatever color you want, but what we're going to do is make a lighter version to make it look like the brush is shiny right there, okay? So whatever color you choose, that's what you can use. Accidental rhyming, I love it. And what we're going to do is just start painting from the top and following along here. So just like so. Now sometimes you'll see me adding extra water into my brush or into my paint. It's only because the room that I'm working on, since the air conditioner's been working, since it's so hot outside, it makes it kind of dry inside. You think the opposite would happen and it would be, you know, a little bit humid inside, but nope. It pushes out all the air and makes it kind of dry in here. So sometimes my paint likes to dry really fast, so I add a little bit of water to make it go further. Okay, so there is the top of my brush. So you know what? I'm noticing that it's a little bit darker last time. So if you like the color of your brush handle the way it is, we don't need to make it darker on one side. It's totally fine. But since I have all this blue on my brush, I'm going to take a little bit more of this black that I have here, mix whatever I have left over, to make like a darker version. And on this side of my paintbrush, I'm just going to do a shadow. It's very subtle, just like so, but it's starting to be, it's making a little bit of a, like a shadow, making it look more 3D, just like so. Okay, so I'm going to wash this brush, because I'm going to go into my smaller brush for the next step. Remember, every time after you wash your brush to blot it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make that lighter shine color here. So I wonder if you can guess what we're going to do. Probably can by this point, especially if you've come to many of these. We're going to take your color that you have for your brush, which I mixed here, take a little bit more white and mix it in. Just like so. Now, this part does not have to be precise at all, because light hits different things at different angles. Not always on a perfectly straight line. Sometimes it does, but not always. This one looks really cool if it's kind of broken lines. So see how I went straight here and then it kind of jumped up there and then it continued. And these lines are even more broken. That makes it look really cool and really realistic. So watch this. I'm going to take my brush and I'm going to kind of just go like this along this side. And I'm going to make that one a little bit thicker. Then I'm going to do a second line, just like that. Make it look a little bit more broken, just like that. There you go. So I just added some shines on my paintbrush, just like that. Then you're going to wash your brush. Simple, easy peasy little step. We didn't need that color for too long, just a little tiny shine, but it makes all the difference. It might look a little funny now, but it's only because the rest of the painting is not finished yet, okay? That's one thing I always kind of tell my students as well. Don't judge your painting until it's completely finished, because it will change many times along the way. So what we're going to do is a base coat of the bristles before we do the metal part of the ferrules of your brush. So take some water on your brush, just like this. Take a little bit of brown and make it a little watery, just like that. Okay? Pretty watery. And then you're just going to paint this in just like that. And it's okay if it's kind of messy. Paintbrushes don't always behave the way they're supposed to. Their hair gets all crazy. You know, not their hair. They're called bristles. But I often think of paintbrushes as having hair. Has anyone read the book Art Supplies before? If not, you should definitely read it. Ever since I read that book, well, actually way before, when I was a kid too, but when I read that book, it reinforced and totally reminded me that paintbrushes, it's like they have hair, just like that. All different kinds of hair. Okay, so we did our base coat there. What we're going to go do from here is let it kind of dry for a couple seconds, but I'll talk about what we're going to do next, because we have to mix some colors. So I'm actually going to take a little bit of my brown, move it to a new spot, and you can put it close to your black, because you're going to take a little bit of this and mix it in to make a darker brown. So just like so. And I'm using my small flat brush. If you have a fine point brush, this is good for this step as well, because we're going to be making some texture and some lines to look like bristles on a brush. So make that darker brown. And this is where it's going to look kind of funny until it's done, so don't worry. But what we're going to do is you're going to use your fine point brush or the chisel edge, so the flat long point of your brush, and you're going to start to fill in your bristles, kind of like that. And I'm going to take some more of this dark brown here, and we're going to build this up. So don't worry if it looks kind of funny at this point. We're going to build the layers up, because it's definitely not enough bristles to just have one like that. Oh, also one other thing I remembered. Right along here, do a line here of this dark brown right along that edge, and then you can pull some of that color down. Don't worry if you get up here on there a little bit, because we're going to be using gray, and gray is pretty good at covering things. So don't worry about that, but you want to keep your lines vertical. So don't make any that go like this, that go this way. You want them all up and down, because that's how paintbrushes go. And if you need to, take a second and look at the paintbrush that you're using. Yeah, for reference. That's called a reference point. You're studying that paintbrush to recreate it using different techniques. Okay, so there's my first layer. Now you know what? I'm going to take a little bit more of this, move it to a new spot, and I'm going to make it even darker. And add a little bit more black to that, and do a couple more layers. I'm going to add some of these, just like that. Now this brown that I'm using, it's kind of see-through. It's one of those colors that I feel like I get a few really good brush strokes from it, and then I have to reload. You might be able to get a little bit further with your brush and your paint. Everyone has different paint. Every paint's got like a different little personality about how it likes to be used, and that's okay. Yeah, makes it interesting. Maybe in other things I would like a really see-through brown, but not with this one. Just means I have to build it up more. Okay, just like so. So it's starting to look nice and fuzzy and have a texture like a paintbrush. So from here, I'm going to wash my brush, and guess what? We're going to do another layer, but I'm going to go straight from this brown here. We're going to do 2 more layers. So we'll do 1 layer of this and then 1 of a little bit lighter. So if you get ahead of me, that's okay. And we're just going to add a few of these little spaces in here, these little brush strokes. And it doesn't look like it's doing too much, but it's adding depth. It's adding layers. Even if you can see through some of the layers, it makes it pretty interesting to look at. There we go. Okay, so I did that layer, and I could do it a little bit quicker. Then, oh, I didn't have to wash my brush actually. Sorry, everybody. If you have some brown on your brush, move it to a new spot. Take a teeny little bit of white. We don't want too much. And you know what also makes it look kind of cool and golden is if we take a teeny little bit of yellow. Makes it look like it's shiny and iridescent so that the light is hitting the bristles and kind of shining through them. So I'm going to add a few of these. And you know what? I have to make it a little bit lighter. Remember to try to take your white from the outside, not from the middle of your paint, because if you do, you might, mix up all your white and you won't have any white to continue using unless you squeeze some from the tube. It's always good to take from the edge to preserve the middle of that white. Okay, so there's our paintbrush. So we did a darker brown, we did an even darker brown layer, then we went back to the regular brown for another layer, and then we went to a lighter brown for the top layer. Okay, so from here, what we're going to do is make a gray. So what two colors make gray? I'm going to go back to my big brush, and I think gray is a mixture of white and some black. So you're going to make kind of a mid-tone gray here, just like so. And then from here, all you're going to do is paint this little section in. And see, my gray covers those little brush strokes that happened by mistake. Because you know what? It's okay. No big deal. Just like so. And look, I went beyond there a little bit because my brush is a little crazy. I think somebody, like my sons, were painting and they kind of had fun with the brush and they were making some cool texture. But I think that made the brushes kind of bristles all crazy. Has anyone ever done that before? If you're doing some artwork and you're going like this with your brush? It's called stippling. It has a name, or pouncing, but it can also wreck your brush. Yeah, that's okay. I don't mind. Oh yeah, look at how fuzzy that is. Oh well. So I have this middle gray here. What we're going to do next is do a darker gray layer to build up the metal. So I'm going to take some black, move it to a new spot. Take some of the gray and mix it in there. So make a dark gray, however works for you. Just make sure it's darker than this one you started with. And watch what I'm going to do in terms of adding some layers. Ready? So I'm going to do one right here. So one straight there on the side. And actually, I think I need to make this a little bit darker just so you guys can see. Yours doesn't have to be as dark, but just mine is already starting to dry. And then you're going to do another one on this side, just like so. Ooh, see how dry my paint is, everybody? Wow, crazy dry. Just like so. And then you're going to do another one here, but it's not touching the bottom line here. So there's a little bit of space between it, just like so. And it stops before that one. If it touches, it's no big deal. Don't worry about it. And then we're going to do one here. And again, don't let it touch the top. Let it kind of float above the top. And then my favorite little spot is going to be right here. So watch this one. So you're going to leave some space right about in between those two lines. You're going to follow this one, but leave a space. Go up, follow along here. Oops, I got a little bit of an angle there. And then you can paint this one in with that dark gray. Okay? So it's kind of you've made a dark gray space to fill that other space that's here. That kind of follows that diagonal line. So just like so. Okay, looks funny, I know, but if you look at one of those big like home paintbrushes, they often have those kind of lines. Now let's see, do we have to wash our brush? No, we don't have to wash our brush. We can put it right back in your main gray and get a little bit of gray there, but we are going to make a lighter version of this color. So take some white, move it to a new spot, and I'm going to mix it right here. So I still have my regular color there. I'm just making a lighter version here. And we're going to do some highlights to make it look more realistic. Okay? So the first space that we're going to put them is right here. Oh, let me double check. Okay. Sometimes I forget to. I make this and then I look back and I'm like, maybe I can do it differently. So you're going to start on this side here and you're going to put a shine right on top of that one there. Okay? Then you're going to do the same thing on this side. So a little shine on that gray space. Then you're going to put a shine here, not covering all that light gray, that dark gray space. Sorry, you're just going to do a line. And then we're going to do one on the top here. Okay. And then we're going to do one here, but just at the top, just like that. And you can make it a little longer there, but you don't have to. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do the shine, the really bright area. So don't wash your brush at all. Take some white, move it to a new spot, and make it as light as you can. You don't want it to be straight up white. You want it to be still light gray, but very, very light. So just like so. Excuse me. So make a really light white gray, almost white, but not quite. Ooh, more accidental rhyming. Yay. And then what we're going to do is do a shine right beside that light gray that we just did. So try to get it almost touching. Oh, and I made a little bit of an oopsie, but that's okay. So there's one. And then you can do one here, like so. And you can do another one here, just like that. Okay. And then, oops, I almost put my hand all in that paint. You can do one here. And I mostly covered that one, but that's okay. And then I'm going to do another one here. Ooh. You know how some days you have very steady hands and other days you're kind of like, ugh, who is this? That's the kind of day I'm having, apparently. You know what? I've decided we're going to add one more here. If you like, I'm going to add it and see. If you like it, go ahead. If you don't, no problem. Just like so. Then I'm going to wash my brush because we're going to add the dark. So you have an option here. You can go with just straight up black if you want. That's what I did on this one, but I used a very, very fine line. If you're not comfortable with that, you can make a very dark gray. So I'm going to use black just because it'll show up a little bit better on camera. But if you want to make a really, really, really dark gray, so a lot of black, a little bit of white, it will help to make that dark look dark. Okay, let me move this before I dump it. So with this dark, what you're going to do is put it right at the top here. It's hard to see probably on mine because the light's kind of gone away a little bit, but there's a black line that separates the gray from the blue on your paintbrush, just like that. There's also a line that will go right from here and follow along just like so. So right between the bristles and the gray, the metal. Okay. Next one, we're going to go right here and we're going to do one up the side just like that. And then guess what? You're going to do another one on the side. And don't worry if they don't touch. They can be kind of broken. That's totally okay. We're almost at the rainbow part, everybody. Hang tight with me. Last ones, ready? So remember we did this gray spot right here. We're going to do a little bit of gray, a little bit of black right at the bottom of that gray. A little bit of black right at the bottom of this one. And yes, it's right next to that white. So it's going to make it look extra contrasty. And then you're going to do one more right underneath this last gray. So it's a lot of the same steps, right? We do lots of layers, and then we make a color. We find different lines to make these things show up, right? Hopefully that made sense. Okay, and then actually, you know what? We're going to add one right here. I was just looking at mine, and I didn't do any shadows there. You can double up on that side. Okay. So one last thing on this paintbrush, we're going to take some straight white. So wash your brush, make sure it's nice and clean, blot it on your paper towel, and we're going to do these really white lines in between the lightest gray and that medium gray. So you can just go like this. And see how I'm kind of dabbing it? That makes it look like it's shiny, extra really shiny, just like that. And see, some spots are thicker than others. Yep, that's okay too. So let's see, right here, and then right along the bottom, and then right here. Perfect. Okay, rainbow time. So make sure your brushes are nice and clean. And I'm actually going to be using my big kind of fuzzy brush for this. And don't worry if your water is a little bit messy. It'll be okay. By the time it kind of it spreads out, it actually makes some of your paint a little bit thicker. So like this yellow sometimes can be really, really see-through. but with some of the dirty water in there, it actually kind of blends everything together. So I'm going to start with red. Okay, watch what we're going to do. You might want to watch the first one because it's the same all over. You're going to take some red, just plain old red. No, I put water on my brush just because, remember, my paint's drying really fast. So take some red, and you're going to put on kind of thick here. So just like that. And you can kind of, fuzz it up into the paintbrush just like this. Just like so. And you can kind of, fuzz it and blend it down like so. Okay. Wash your brush. We got to do this kind of quick, but that's what we're going to do over and over again with the colors that I mentioned. So if you're using orange, you're going to do orange next. But if you're using yellow, watch this. You're going to leave a little bit of space here. So I'm going to start my yellow right here, and I'm going to kind of fuzz it like that. And then I'm going to come this way. I'm going to meet the red and kind of pull that red into the yellow to make orange, just like so. Okay, so see I've got some orange. And I want that orange to be a little bit stronger, so what I'm going to do is mix some here. And I'm just going to add some more on the paintbrush there. Okay, there we go. Make sure you leave some yellow though. You don't want to lose all your yellow. Then you can wash your brush. What color comes next? There's green, right? So red, orange, yellow, green. I have green that I'm going to use, but if you don't have green, if you have blue, do the same thing we just did. Start the blue here, blend the blue over to the yellow, and then make a green in the middle. But here, I'm going to show you what it looks like if you have green. So I'm going to start here, and I'm going to blend it out this way and blend it out that way. Now, I know that yellow can be like a little bit wimpy, so I'm actually going to take some yellow on my brush and blend on top of there. Aha, see, it's a really cool color, just like so. Okay. And actually, I think I went a little bit too far with that, so guess what? I'm just going to clean some of that up really quick. Take some more yellow and put it right on top. Yeah, perfect. Next color is blue. So I'm going to take some blue. Remember, this is going pretty thick here on the brush. I'm just going to put it like so. And actually, I think I took a little bit too much. Oh my goodness, today. And I'm going to blend some of that into the green. And if your color is like kind of wimpy, like my green is a little bit see-through, even though it shows up really nice on camera, let's take a little bit of the lighter color and blend it into the next color. Whoops. I lost my green. Watch this. I'll show you how to fix it. Make sure you wash your brush, dry it off really good. Kind of scoop some of that away. And then take the color you need to replace and place it on there pretty heavy, just like so. Okay. The next thing is some purple. So I'm going to start with my purple. And this is the last color, so I'm going to start it here. And I'm going to blend it into the blue. Does anyone know what that color in between blue and purple is called? It's called indigo. It's like this kind of really cool violety, bluey purple. Okay, so we've done the main part of our paintbrush paint. So it's like someone dipped the paintbrush into a rainbow jar of paint, which I think would be amazing. Now I'm going to show you that cool technique. So what we're going to do is I'm going to start with red, and I'm going to take some water, and we're going to basically make watery paint. So I'm going to mix a whole bunch here. And you want it more watery than you think, because if it's too thick, it's not going to drip. Okay. So you take some of your paint. You might want to watch the first one, and then you can try it on your own. Dab some red on here. Just kind of put it where you painted the red. Just like so. And then lift up your paper, and it should start to drip. If it doesn't, watch this. Just take more paint, push it into that space, and you take a little bit of water and let it drip down. Just like so. And see how I made like a little puddle there? I added another little red spot there. Okay, so next color. And you can have an extra paper towel handy if you want to clean up some of this mess. This part might get a little bit messy, but that's okay. That's why I make sure to tell you to have a protected surface. So I'm going to make some orange. So I'm going to take some yellow over here, take some of this watery red, mix it in, make it really watery. Okay, then I can make puddle just like that. And I can kind of, make it, give it a path for it to follow, and then just let it go down like that. Now remember, if it doesn't want to go, just put some more up here, and that extra water and gravity will help pull that color back down. Kind of like that. Okay. Ooh, I like how it did it made like a little turn there. So I'm going to do yellow. And yeah, it might look a little green on here, but that's okay. It'll just make it look, it'll be a little stronger after it dries. So I'm going to make a puddle, just like so. If this is really bugging you and you would rather do this with like clean water, you can do that. Don't let what I'm comfortable doing dictate what you're comfortable doing. But see, it still looks yellow. And I have a little bit more staying power than just a straight up yellow sometimes. And then guess what? Same thing with some green. Mix it up like this. Make a puddle. You can even make like two. See how I'm kind of doing like little nodes or like little drops? Just like so. I'm kind of leading it to where I want it to go. And then I'm putting a lot in that spot. And then picking it up and letting it go. And you know what? Sometimes, see how fast it's drying? That's a lot of paint on there. In my house, it just likes to dry really fast. But if I add a little bit more, ooh, and they blended. Oh, I love that. There we go. And the other thing you can do is you can kind of pick up your paper and kind of like if you want them to have a different angle, you can do that too. Okay. And let's go on to some blue. Now I'm noticing, it didn't do this yesterday for me, but of course on camera, this is what happens. See how my paint's kind of coming up there? I'm basically reanimating the paint before it has a chance to fully dry. And that means I'm basically lifting it off the paper. So if that happens and you don't really like the look of it, what you can do after is go back and get some more of your colors that you used when we first did that layer there and just paint right over top. I'll show you what I mean. Hopefully it will dry. If everything else is drying really fast, like this one, then it should be okay. Now let's do some purple. I'm actually going to put a little bit of purple just into that one to make a kind of indigo color right there. And some purple will go right here for the last one. Just like so. Now let's see. There it goes. Go purple, go! Okay. All right. And that is how, yeah, you can like tap it too. That is how we make a rainbow paintbrush painting. Yeah, you can make this paintbrush as wide as you like. I remember a while ago there was the paintings that were very popular on Pinterest of, like, I think it was a little girl that was holding an umbrella, and you would do drips all around, but not have a drip go under the umbrella that you drew. It's really cute. I'll see if I can share a picture of that. Those are really fun, and this is the technique that you would use with that. Yeah. All right. So one more time. See how it's kind of see-through there? What I would just do is even you can do it before it's done drying, is you can just add a little bit more paint right on top there. And you can kind of strengthen up some of those colors as well. So I'll take a little bit more of this and kind of add it in there. And I'll do the green too, just so you can see that yes, it can be done. I'm not telling you something that doesn't work. There we go. Okay, so that is how you make a rainbow paintbrush painting. All right. Thank you everybody again for joining me. As usual, if you have any comments or questions or feedback or suggestions of something you want to paint, please send me an email, kdupuy@notlpl.org. I'm always looking for feedback. We're learning every single week. Even though this is week 12, we're still learning and trying new things every single week, so we'd love to hear from you. If you were only here to watch the video, no problem. We're going to be uploading this on YouTube afterwards, so you can access it and make as many rainbow paintbrushes as you wish. Also, if you started painting with us and you got interrupted or the feed dropped or I missed a step or went too quickly, again, don't worry, the video will be posted there. And that's where I'd like to hear feedback from you. So please let me know if that happened. Please let me know. Also, again, summer reading program registration is now open, so you can do You can register for that on our website, www.NOTLLpubliclibrary.org. And other than that, I hope you have a great rest of your your Monday afternoon. I'm thinking about STEAM on Wednesday, so if you haven't joined us for STEAM Storytime, we do have a really cool program called STEAM Storytime that runs Wednesdays. It's also live streamed with me. We explore areas of science, technology, engineering, art, and math with a quick story, and then we usually have a quick, fun STEAM challenge for you to do at home. So if you have, younger siblings or younger kids, STEAM Storytime is usually for around the, 3 to 5 age group, but all are welcome to join because there's some really cool things that we do, plus a story. Okay, I will see everybody next week, next Monday, for our next week 13 of Not a Library Live Create with Kasia. And have a great afternoon. Bye, everybody.